answer do you guys have? Are there any questions on the shark bite we want to see do go over? Three? Okay. So line of best fit is something we talked about a while ago. So we have to remember how to do it on the calculator. Tab is open, but not over here. So if you wanted to follow along, you would also need your calculator. In the calculator, we would go into SAT, in Edit, if you have anything in there, you have to go up to the top, hit clear, come back down, and then put in these numbers. You can put them in by hitting enter or scrolling down, either or. And then once the numbers are in, you would go into STAT, scroll over to calculate, and you're looking for linear regression, number 4, and you would calculate. So the line of best fit for number 3 was y equals negative 0.85x plus 15.3. Any other questions on the shark bite? Everyone should have these notes in front of them. This is the last lesson in our review unit. Still on factoring, but the last type of factoring, where it's a lot of steps. So I'll go through the steps first, and then you guys can choose which problems you want to see you go over. So for every single problem, we have to look and see, is there a GCF? Is there something each one has in common? If there is, divide that out. If not, just say that there's not, or it's 1 and move on. Multiply the first and last term, so A and C. Multiply those together. Find the factors, what times what will give us whatever you multiply to get. Of those factors, they have to add to be B, add or subtract to be B. Once we have those two numbers, we're going to take the 3 terms we have and split it into 4, replacing this middle with the 2 new numbers we found. And then we're going to do grouping. Split the middle, do the GCF of the first 2 and the last 2, and then group them together and find our final factors. Okay. On this page, what questions do we want to see, do, go over, review? One. Example 1 or number 1? Alright, so we're going to start with this one at the bottom. A lot of you did not do well on this factoring piece, so make sure you're paying attention, writing this down. Okay, so first, look at all 3 of these numbers. Is there something we could divide out of each one? Those of you on your phone should be paying attention. there something you can divide out of each one? No. So it doesn't have a GCF other than 1, but we can move past that. Then multiply 4 and negative 5. So when we multiply that, that would give us negative 20. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 20, but add to be negative 19. So think about your factors of 20. What times what would give you 20? And then because it's negative, one of them will have to be negative, and they have to add to be negative 19. If you're not sure about your factors of 20, start dividing on your calculator. 20 divided by 1, by 2, by 3. Say that again. 20 times 1, which one would be negative? Yep, you're right. Negative 20, positive 1. You guys' quiz is next week, so you should really be paying attention. Okay. Rewrite this into 4 terms. The first and the last stay the same. So 4x squared does not matter which one we put first. But because this middle term had an x, these will also have x's. Split it down the middle. And then you're looking for, what do these first two have in common? What could we divide out of both of those? 4. What else do they have in common? X. So if we're dividing both of these by 4x, what would be left? Write this down. Minus 5. And then do the same thing on this side. What could we divide out of these two? Do they both have an x? Just 1. So if nothing, you can always divide out a 1. And then that would leave this the same, x minus 5. Then the things on the outside you would put together in parentheses. And if the insides are the same, which they should, that is your other set of parentheses. What questions do we have on that before we move on? What other questions on this page do you want to see do go over review? Example 3 or number 3. So same process. Is there something we can divide each of these by? No. So not a GCF other than 1. So multiply 8 and negative 3. And we're looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 24, but add to be negative 10. Add or subtract to be negative 10. So think about your factors of 24. And of those, which ones would add to be negative 10 or subtract? Negative 12 and positive 2, that would work. Rewrite this. First and last stay the same. Does not matter which one you put first. It has a y in the middle, so make sure these both have y's also. Split it down the middle. What do those first two have in common? 4y. If we divide that out of both of those, what's left? Two y minus, not 2, but 3. What could we divide out of the last two? 1. Which means our inside stays the same. So then our outside factors, 4y plus 1. And then the inside factor, 2y minus 3. Look on the next page. Find any you want to see. Do go over and review. Does this have something we can divide out of everything? So then, moving forward, multiply 10 and negative 2. So two numbers that multiply to be negative 20, but add or subtract to be negative 1. Does it have to add or subtract to be negative 1? The two numbers are probably really close together. What are some factors of 20? What times what will give us 20? 1, 2, and 10.
Negative 4.
So negative 5 and positive 4, that would work. So rewrite this into 4 terms using p as your variable now. So make sure you're writing this down. Split it down the middle. Look at the first two. What do those have in common? 5p. If we divide that out of those first two, what's left?
2 minus 1.
2p minus 1. What about the last two? What could we divide out of those? 2. Positive 2, which would leave us with 2p minus 1. So what would the outside factors be? 5p plus 2. And the inside 2p minus 1. Any others on this page you want to see, do go over, have questions about? So starting with 13, Look and see, does this have something we could divide out of each one? 3, okay. So if our GCF is 3, if we divide each of these by 3, what would be left? Minus. Close. Okay. Then the steps are the same. Take 5 and negative 8 and multiply those two. And you're looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 40 but add to be negative 6. One will have to be negative. What are some factors of 40? Times 4. If one of those were negative, would that work? Negative 10. So rewrite this into 4 terms. The 3 on the outside stays. Your variable is now y. Split it down the middle. Keep bringing down your 3. What do those first two have in common? Say that again. 5y, yes. See if this works here. If we divide out 5y to these two, what's left?
1y
Minus, not 5, but
2.
2. And then what can we divide out of the last two? 4. Positive 4, which would leave us with y minus 2. So then we keep bringing down that 3. Our outside terms, 5y plus 4. And then our inside, y minus 2. Just keep bringing it down. Other questions on that one? Or other questions we want to see on this page? What could we divide out of each of these? 3 again. If we divide them each by 3, what's left? 4m squared minus 8m minus multiply 4 and negative 5. You're looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 20, but add or subtract to be negative 8. Which will be negative. So rewrite this into 4 terms. Keep bringing down that 3. the middle of it. Keep bringing down that 3. What do these first two have in common? M and 2. If we divide them both by 2m, what's left? 2m minus 5. What about the last two? They only have 1 in common, so yes, you would put it as this. Right, keep bringing down that 3. What would our two factors be? Any others we want to see to go over the So use this time to practice. Definitely go back, make sure you're good with this. Try examples on your own. Retry the Khan Academy or do it for the first time if you didn't. If you need to work on retake stuff, now would be a great time to do that. Many have already done retake stuff and retested. You could be using this time to do that also to bring up your grade. Next class is our flex day. Seniors, if you're here and not taking Unit 9 stuff, that's going to be your STAR test. Flex day and review next class. Class after that is quiz. Class after that is test. So make sure you are good with all of your Unit 9 stuff. Let me know if you have any questions.